All right, guys. I've got my man, special guy, real, just a great friend who I met through this crazy gig that I do, PJ Bimonte. Uh, he talked me into going to a Dolphins game, gave me some awesome seats. My wife and I had the best time, and I just met him through this channel. And so I want to have him on. This is a fan seat at the table. PJ is a great dude. I can't express to you how great he is as a person and a Dolphins fan. You can see all the memorabilia back. He's going to go through all that. He's got some great stuff. PJ, thanks for coming on, man. You're a real good friend, and I always appreciate my time with you. So let's rock and roll with you. Uh, I don't know. You want to talk about how we met? How did you even decide to? I forgot. How did you just come and say, "Hey, you want to go to the game"? How did that work out?
I followed you. You kept coming up in my suggestions on YouTube. And I dug your vibe. I dug the channel. Sorry, I did not know what Ace per head was until I started hearing you on here, and I liked your style. I liked your style. I started following you. You were not big on how you call it, the Twitter box back then. Um,
No, still not,
so
still not.
yeah, but I don't know what it was. I just kept coming up. I kept watching. I finally subscribed. Hey, I'll say it right now because I tell you to say it all the time. Like and subscribe, guys. Um, so I liked and subscribed, and heck, that was probably 3 years ago at this point. And I don't remember if it was on YouTube or on Twitter, but I said, "Hey, just you should really come to a game.
Yeah,
You've got the passion for it." I don't know how many native New Yorkers are Dolphin fans, but you're one of them.
decent amount. Yeah,
Yeah.
not a lot, not a lot, especially not these days.
Well,
More
back
popular in the '80s and
Yeah,
'90s.
and back in the day in the 80s, if you really think about it, between Miami and New York, the Bucks were probably just getting started, like late 70s, early 80s ish. Check my dates. I'm sure someone will.
Yeah, yeah.
There were no Jaguars. The Falcons weren't that great. There were no Panthers. I'm just going up the East Coast. You really had nothing between Miami and Washington. Um, so if you didn't vibe with Washington, you're getting up there. The Bills, I don't think the Bills beat the Dolphins in the 70s. Like they were 0 for the 70s. In so
You with the okay.
yeah, so the Giants and the Jets, you had to be a special kind of fan. You probably were in the city if you were the Giants and the Jets. If you're So yeah, you really had the Dolphins to choose from back then.
And a lot of New Yorkers had like grandmothers and stuff that would have a kid, go down and live in Florida. I had family in Tampa, so that kind of how it migrated. But there is a connection. A lot of New Yorkers had houses down there, or their relatives moved down there and stuff like that. So maybe that's how it came. But also, perfect season, all the
Mhm.
Super Bowls, Marino. It's very attractive.
Yeah, and that's really how I got my love for the game. The first game I remember, and then like my love for the team. My grandmother, who is in this picture right here, it was actually the day my brother and I were living in Ohio at the time. We're Floridians, but we were living in Ohio. That's where we went to college. Go Flyers! You can see my date kind of in the background there. When Marino was inducted to the Hall of Fame, we flew my grandmother up and drove her to Canton, and it was kind of the culmination of her fandom. I remember the first game I remember watching was the 1982 Super Bowl with David Woodley,
Yep, I remember that one.
Woodstock, the two-headed monster. My
Wins.
Yeah, back in the day, there were no wireless cable boxes. There were no. My dad pulled the TV. I was living in Miami. My dad pulled the TV out of the house and put it on the patio, and we had a barbecue. And my grandmother could care less of anything that was going on. All 5 foot nothing Irish English woman of her was screaming at the TV, and it was, man, everything from there. She's where I got a lot of my passion for the game. She's where I got a lot of my moral compass from. So
Good.
she was a Miami Children's Hospital nurse,
Wow.
ER nurse. 40 years. That takes the kind of person.
Oh, it's rough. Yeah, I have a friend who's works with the young kids. It can be tough when things go south. It puts a lot of taxing on you. You got to have a real strong love and heart.
Yeah.
So she was the big driving force. It was your dad? I guess was a Dolphins fan too, right?
My dad was a Dolphins fan, but my grandmother, man, she just overshadowed the whole family. Like I said, she was even my grandfather, who was where I get my Italian name from. Grandpa was the boss, but grandma was the boss of grandpa. So
That's funny. That is so funny. Hey, so you were giving me before about all these different awesome items you got. Just give us a lowdown of your treasure trove back there. That's some really good stuff, even back
yeah,
from the perfect season.
yeah, there's so that's many generations of memorabilia. Like I said, my grandmother and grandfather, so my family has been season ticket holders since 1974, which is, I will just say, it is a more than 1 year older than me. So, but they were going to the games from the perfect season and before, because they used to go. We lived in Miami for so long. My grandparents used to go to the games on the Peter Pan peanut butter tickets, and when the way they didn't get those anymore, they ended up going and getting their season tickets. So the start date on I'm the third generation to own them. My son is the fourth generation, and some of my cousins would be my generation. So my son is fourth generation to go to games on these tickets. So yeah, there's a Dr. Pepper bottle back there that has this perfect season schedule. There's a Stein from the Super Bowl. Don Shula's 325th victory. You can't see what you can't see on there. There's a plate over here that is actually from Shula's Steakhouse, signed by Don Shula.
Oh, sweet.
Um,
You met him? You saw him?
I did not. I have a friend. I had friends here who are Bears fans, and I wish I just couldn't make it that night. I told my friend's wife that Don Shula and Mike Ditka were doing a meet and greet at Shula's Steakhouse here. I live in Naples, Florida now, and they went to they got all their Ditka stuff, but they brought a signed Don Shula plate for me.
That's good friends. That's good. Don Shula and Mike Dick. I love those two guys. I miss that style of guy, man.
Yeah, Ditka for a little while was a resident of Naples. There was actually, I think, a Ditka's restaurant here for a little bit, but that was quite a bit ago. Trying to think what else is back there. There's
Football helmet. You said the helmet. You had a Bob Greasy sign thing, and you said
Bob Greasy is the picture here. Then there is a Don Strock autograph football up there. Smaller things. I actually have
what was the helmet again? What was the helmet again?
the big helmet. The big helmet is Don Shula's 325th victory.
Wow.
I think there might be a smaller Tyreek Hill helmet back there too. A more recent addition to the gallery.
And you said you had a football signed by Stephen Ross. You had all footballs, all the owners. Joe.
I have Joe Robbie on a ticket from the Orange Bowl. I have Wayne Huizenga on a ticket from the inaugural game at what was then Joe Robbie. It wasn't. So it was Joe. Well, yeah, Joe Robbie Stadium. So, I think I have Wayne Huizenga on the inaugural game for Joe Robbie Stadium on a big commemorative ticket. The Orange Bowl ticket was back from when there were no such thing as electronic tickets, and same with Huizenga. So Huizenga's and Robbie's are on tickets, and then the Ross one is very, very interesting. When the stadium was renovated, I think phase one was 2015, 2016, 9-10 years ago. First things first, they tore down the upper deck. They took the big jumbotrons down. They cut out the corners, put the 4 jumbotron. Then the next phase, or phase one, I believe it was year 2, because for everything that people say, Ross as an owner, the guy has developed half of Lower Manhattan, some of the biggest real estate things in history. They put the roof on the stadium while the season was going.
Crazy.
Over the span of 2 seasons, they never missed a game. They did all the demolition and they put this roof on. And after the roof came on during the season, I was sitting in my seats, and you've seen where they are. They're upper deck, 50-yard line. And I'm looking and I said, these two guys that are coming up the stairs look really familiar. And I'm looking, and I was like, okay, well, that's Stephen Ross and Tom Garfinkel.
Wow.
And long story short, I was able to have a moment with them. I mentioned that my family had been season ticket holders forever to the security guys, and mentioned that I've met all of the other owners. I would really love to say thank you to Mr. Ross, because the stadium is gorgeous. I don't think there's a lot of stadiums
No,
like that.
amazing. Amazing.
And so I got to say, I don't. It just turns out that he wanted to see how the view looked from stands, from the upper deck, from what the fans saw. So he left the box and came out and sat there at halftime and discussed the view.
Wow.
And in a long story, again, longer story, even longer, I reached out to his people. I have a little bit of a connection, and I said, I really wish I would have gotten his autograph. And I got asked for my address, and I didn't think anything of it. And several months later, a box shows up on my front door, and it's a personalized football from Mr. Ross, because he had remembered meeting me. I have a family member that works in the not in the Dolphins organization, but in the related organization, and they kind of vouched for me that I was who I was, and verified my status, and they sent me a football with his autograph. So I have all three of the majority owners' autographs. I think that's probably the most unique collection, part of the collection.
Look, I know Ross gets his stuff, but as you were saying, there's three sides to every story. There's your side, his side, and the truth. And I think, if things aren't going well with this team, there's a lot of people who want some different stuff, but he's done a lot of tremendous stuff. And even I've heard multiple stories how he's done kind things, nice things for people he really didn't have to. And so I think that you have to tell the full story. So that's a good story, man. It's a good story.
Yeah, and
he's a big guy too, isn't he?
He's taller than me, and I'm 5'10", 5'11". The first time when I shook his hand up in those stadiums, like his hand swallowed mine.
Wow. He looks like a big dude.
Yeah, he is. A tall dude.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's not jacked.
No, he's in great
shape. Need to be when you're a billionaire, you get jacked people to help you out.
Yeah. So I really, the times that I've been lucky enough to cross paths with him, I've been very, impressed. He is a genuine individual.
That's good news. It's good to hear. You want to hear that, because there's people out there that they're owners and they got some bad stuff, and they got a lot of them. So at least we got something good. Hopefully he pulls a team together. I think over the years, while I've disagreed with him, I know he wants to win, and I know he's a Floridian. I know he's a fan. So I hope for his sake and our sake he gets this thing right.
Yeah, and I know you and I have talked about this before. It's my my hot take is the biggest mistake he made was when he took over from Mr. Huizenga, that he didn't clean house then. And I know he was new to the NFL. He wanted the continuity, which, when you look at the Steelers, they say, oh, the Steelers, continuity. He's tried to build that here. He wanted the continuity back then. Bill Parcells was not in it for the long run. If I remember right, he had an out in his contract that if the team was ever sold, he was able to eject from the contract, but he didn't. He took that step back, went to this is a little fuzzy right now, went back to that more front office, but then from the Parcells tree, you had Wannstedt, who had a lot of success, but then you ended up in the front office. You ended up with the Jeff Irelands, the Tannenbaums, like
even Sperano, who a tough guy, nice guy, not a bad coach, just not good enough. You got to be brilliant.
Yeah, so a lot of I think there was a lot of times in that Parcells tree that hindered the beginnings of the Ross tenure
Yeah.
as ownership. So
Even Greer comes from the Parcells deal.
to an extent, yeah, and I think Greer is. I think his dad is in the NFL too, isn't he? With the Patriots, he's in the
No, he was with the Patriots, then he went to the Texans, and then he retired.
yeah.
And I think it's where in the Patriots is where he got the connection with Parcells.
Yeah.
And then when he came here, he was already here, but then he kind of built
Thing
through that.
players in front office for whatever reason, the AFC East seems to be a little bit of a carousel because Tannenbaum and he was with the Jets, so
Yeah.
and I think that's where he kind of also came over from the Parcells side. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's always been sort of sitting below the surface for me. Was if he would have when he took ownership instead of trying to go for that continuity from the previous ownership, if he would have created his own from the start, we might be talking a little bit of a different story here.
Well, yeah, and if he didn't chase Jim Harbaugh get
Harbaugh.
caught like that, yeah, Jim Harbaugh, that was a big problem too. And then the Bullygate thing. He really some of it's his making, some of it's bad luck, whatever it is. It's been a struggle, and it sucks. I don't think Parcells. I like Parcells when we got him. Was excited, but he was just throwing the thing together. It was just like an ad hoc rush to get success. And that's what he does. He builds this thing in 2 or 3 years, and then when it peters out, he jumps to another ship. And so I really didn't like the way we built with Parcells. There was some okay stuff to it, but I remember Grove was it Grove. That center we got, he got injured. That hurt us too. Remember, quit.
Jake Grove.
Yeah, he was so good, but he played for like 4 or 5 games and he was done. We've had a lot of bad luck. I feel like we're snake bit. Let's hope it changes this year.
Yeah.
Speaking of this year, what do you think about our direction? What do you think about this team? I showed that the betting boys dropped us down to 7.5. I showed Jeremy Fowler. You got the scouts and the executives. They didn't post us high. I just checked Warren Sharp, and he gave us some grades. It's not looking like we're going to be hot to trot, and I don't think we need to. But do you think we're going? What do you think we're going to do? What's this team doing? Where do you think we're heading? We'll do the number of victories at the end. But what are you feeling as a fan, longtime fan?
This team is going to go as Tua goes. Realistically, we've got to keep him upright. I like the signings of the interior offensive lineman, signings and draftings of interior offensive line. We as Dolphin fans, I was kind of thinking about this today. We like to grab a lot of times we get along the right path, but the cause and effect is not always there. I watched your video on Savaianaya this morning, and I completely agree with you. I know you and I have talked a lot on context. Context. These stats mean things in context. Tua has the quickest time to throw, and it's not because he's bailing out and checking down immediately. It's because he has the shortest time, time to pressure.
Yeah.
And it's a chicken and egg situation. What's the chicken? And I think in this case, it's very clear. We throw fast because we know if we don't throw fast, it's going to be a disaster. You would have to be prime Michael Vick, prime Randall Cunningham to survive behind this line after 2.3 seconds.
And I don't think you would thrive either way.
Yeah, well, true. But you'd probably be,
yeah.
I'm not gonna throw a stray at the Bills, but you become Josh Allen, where you are the escape valve, and that gives you sort of that hero syndrome. But Tua's not built for the hero game unless he's in the pocket.
Yep.
So
look at him in 2022. He threw a 2.35, and he had his most aggressive. I think we were top 3 in all depth of target, yards per catch. 2.35.
Yeah,
and then we went to 2.09, 2.04.
And people like to look at Waddle and Hill, but you know what? He does not benefit from the yak that everyone says he does. It's just there's sometimes they're lazy narratives by some people that are just looking to get clicks or looking to make points. Is he the perfect quarterback? No. no quarterback is going to live outside of a framework. It just those guys are one in a million. They're one of one. There's maybe a couple in the league at any given time. Aaron Rodgers used to be that guy. Is he really that guy anymore? Is he going to survive behind an offensive line that doesn't exist? No.
Nice. For the Jets, he doesn't.
Yeah, it's so where I think here we need to get if Savaianaya lives up to his draft pedigree, if Daniels comes back, if we've shore up that middle offensive line so that we don't end up with what is it? I think you've said this stat too. We have the shortest yards before contact for our running backs.
In a lot, yeah. Not inside.
Inside,
Good outside.
Yeah.
Inside,
so
struggle.
Yeah, and that's another one of those cause and effect things. Everyone says, why doesn't McDaniel run up the middle on third and short? Because we can't. Like you're going to have one argument. It's either going to be McDaniel can't call plays or we can never get a yard. When it is, he should understand that. Why doesn't he call something else? So,
and then if he runs inside and he gets stuffed, then it's like, why'd you run inside?
Yeah. So, okay, long roundabout way to say, I actually like when the experts say we're not going to do well because that usually means we're going to do well. Vegas, different story. Vegas, they're not in the business to lose money.
Yeah.
But I also think, in the Vegas odds makers, you're probably incorporating Tua missing 4 games. If Tua, and I'll wait. I will say I'll play this now. Then we'll talk numbers at the end. Tua stays healthy 17 games. I'm betting the over, even though I'm not a huge bettor.
Yeah, I'm too cheap.
But I would bet the I'm too cheap. That's actually spot on. I'm betting the over if Tua stays healthy for 17 games. If Tua is not healthy, man, I like hearing Zach Wilson say he's being told that he's throwing too late. If he gets his head on straight, let's be honest, Ewers is not going to be QB2. He will be, 3 years ago, we were talking about, can we get Skyler through waivers to get him on the practice squad? We're going to get those same conversations coming up. You know what? Try to put him through waivers, get him on the practice squad. Give Wilson as many reps as he can. He is more mobile than Tua. Let's be honest. He is a running quarterback. That's what he's not a running quarterback, but
he's a mobile quarterback.
His legs were some of his strengths. I'm not saying he's the second coming, but you saw what Darnold did with a little bit of a framework. I will never take Jets film on quarterbacks for the last couple of years as gospel. So
it's been bad for them, man.
Yeah, I could see us being better than we've been in the past with QB2 if we have to go to QB2. But as Tua goes, Tua's in 17 games, betting the over. Tua's in 17 games, probably it's going to be one game on either side of the line.
Yeah. It's really there's so many ifs, so many possibilities. We're not going to get all of them to go our way, and we're not going to get all of them to go against us. It's whatever it takes to. Definitely, Tua's health is a major piece of the puzzle. The offensive line's health and success is a major piece of the puzzle. So we really don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, what if Josh? I mean, I don't want it because I like the kid, but what if Josh Allen gets injured? Everything changes.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, you actually, this was, I'm going to bring something that you have said a couple years ago. I think you and I had this conversation. I don't even know if it was last year. It might have been last year at the beginning. If the running game, well, no, sorry. This is a continuation of 2 years. This happened and you called this out. Hey, I've got a long memory. Call me an elephant, whatever. You called this out after the Denver game when we dropped 70 and everyone was riding high. But you know what? That gave other teams the blueprint. They started, we couldn't run anyone out of nickel. How many times did you say that on your channel? We
Yep.
couldn't run anyone out of nickel. So we couldn't run anyone out of nickel, constantly throwing against 6, 7 DBs. They were getting now last year they started rushing, getting to us with 3, getting to us with 4, shortening the time to throw, dropping those linebackers into those mid zones,
Yep. Pocket post, man. Shut that down, baby.
playing a shell over top. I don't care how strong your arm is. You're not throwing against 3 deep linebackers and 4 deep defensive backs.
I mean, really, like the top arms, they're going to get more consistency than Tua, but they're never going to be consistent.
Mm-mm. No. And so so we need a running game. We need to get those linebackers need to start biting again. And what I said is, if we get those guys back closer to the line and respecting the run a little bit, that offense of 2 years ago is going to come back because those posts are going to be open again. Those crossers are going to be open again.
The blitzing will help out a ton.
Yeah.
If we pick it up.
Yeah. And
I like Ollie Gordon picking that stuff up. He's a really good pass blocker. And then you add in Farrell Brown, you might be able to find some of that where, hey, McDaniel calls the right protection. They bring the blitz. It gets picked up. And now there's a weakened secondary because it looks like we're running 3 wide receivers. So there's potential.
Yeah. And I think, and you said that, and this just kind of clicked a little bit. We are sort of the opposite of some of these teams. Like we want them to blitz. If they're blitzing, if they're committing more people to the line of scrimmage, we can hurt people.
Yeah.
Because our wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 are going to outpace most secondaries.
And I like Washington too, and Westbrook.
Washington, Westbrook. So Westbrook, I think he's going to play the Jonnu role this year. That's why they were able to let Jonnu go. They're going to be in more 11 personnel. There's going to be only 1 tight end. We had a lot of 2 tight end sets last year, and Jonnu was basically a really big slot wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like him, don't get me wrong, but his replacement's on the roster.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't afford 12. We could bid. We're broke, man. I think we were at like $2 million, and then we signed Jonah. We couldn't.
Yeah, that's under.
No way,
I think.
Yeah, we could never pay John $12 million.
Yeah. Well, I have done no research on this guy, but he is a name. Noah Fant got cut today by Seattle.
Yeah, he's the tight end. He's a good blocking tight end and pretty decent catching tight end. He brings a double. I like that. I don't know if we can afford him, but I like him.
Yeah, well, affording him, and a lot of people will scream that's going to require a Tua restructure.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna? Do you think I don't know. It seems like they're not willing to do it. I think they're really trying to play this thing out and see how it goes.
Yeah,
they look very serious about getting this thing together for 2027.
Yeah, I and again, I'm a Tua fan. I almost wore my Tua jersey today to drive a little controversy, but I went with the mid throwback.
That's a good one. I like that.
One.
I like how it's like slightly fade, a little worn and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what if Tua? What do you think happens if we underperform? 7, 8 wins, 6 wins. I don't know about six unless Tua goes down. What do you think is the response, and what would you want the response to be? Daniel can't. Greer can. Tua can. What do you think?
You know what? If we get in there and the offensive line completely falls apart, now, and here's one thing. I don't want to take this a different direction, but Greer. How much? I think inside the organization knows best. How much of? I'll do a throwback. Can you throwback to an old Dolphins defensive coordinator, Tom? You can't make chicken salad with chicken bleep.
Yeah,
how much of the selection of the offensive line has to do with McDaniel saying, "Get me this type of player," versus saying, "Get me this player"? So I think inside the organization is going to know best who is the one making the final decision on the player, the specific player, versus the evaluation of the type of player that fits the scheme. Either way, you'll like hearing this. Either way, Greer doesn't get a pass from that because it's his scouting department.
Yeah.
It's his player evaluation. And I just don't feel that McDaniel has, at least before this draft, I don't feel like he had veto power on the actual player. There was maybe a couple players that he
Was there talk that he had it this year?
no, well, I'm not saying that there. I'm not saying there was a lot of talk, but
Because Alf had said he thought McDaniel got more power this year over the
this
draft.
draft felt different. I don't have the connections that Alf has. But this draft, this draft felt different. It honestly felt different. So I'm making an educated guess.
Yeah. That's
So-
all. Look, I don't know about the application, but the philosophy is something I've been saying since 2021. It works in the trenches. It works in physicality. Football's not flag football. So it felt different from a philosophical standpoint. I thought I liked it. Maybe not to trade up or whatever for Jonah, but if he's a Pro Bowl player, who cares? But I like the philosophy of it. I hope it continues.
Flashback about 5 years to when he who shall not be named was still coaching that team in New England. Tell me you would not have seen Savaiana's name on the back of a Patriots jersey in that era.
Oh yeah.
And all the rumors was we jumped them to take him.
Yeah.
He would have been a Patriot in any other era. And so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and I think that when you really look at him, he's got a great attitude. He's big. I think he still needs to mature. His muscles need to mature a little bit. He's got unbelievable feet. He can get to the second level. His score by the metrics was 88% grade on true pass set. The only thing is, can he handle the power when he moves inside and drive guys out? Even if he's just okay run blocker and he's a very good pass blocker, it's a win. But if he can drive guys out and then do the rest, then it's a big win.
At the risk of being stereotypical, I love those Polynesians for power because that is in their DNA.
But we also remember we drafted what's face that center.
Samson Satili?
Yeah, he was no Samson.
Different
guys. Yeah, but
I don't remember if he got hurt or what. There was
he was Michael Dita. Less,
Yeah, I think he was a little smaller. I think he was on the smaller side, which Jonah is not.
No. You see, he's big. And I think, too, he's 21. It's going to take, I think, 2 to 3 years for him to reach that first phase of physical maturation. And then he'll hit it again around 27, 28, 29. So there's usually 2 phases for strength athletes. And it's, early to like 24, 25, and then you hit it again to like closing on 30.
Yeah, and he, signed that 4-year fully guaranteed contract. So we got him for 4 years.
I love it. I don't care. I don't love it, but I don't care. My problem is what if we draft and bum next year in the second round and we got to start like a Cam Smith or something? That's gonna.
But also going into the league type stuff. The NFLPA is running through a little controversy right now, and they're getting new leadership in there. So who knows if there's going to be some sort of collusion gate 3 or whatever next year, because they just want this to start happening where those guaranteed contracts start creeping into the second round again. So,
well, I think it's going to be, if it happened this year, it's going to be very, very difficult not to have it next year. I think that unless like some collusion thing comes out, I think their only recourse is to stop it at the second round. Because if it gets into the third, then it gets really difficult. Second round, you can kind of, if you're smart, you don't reach, you can find decent guys. But the third round starts getting dicey. That's tough for a team with a cap and stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay, what's the win total?
Win total.
You kind of hit on it. Look.
I'm going to say Tua stays healthy, 17 games. Looking at our schedule deeper into the deep metrics of the schedule, our hard games are at home. Yeah. We don't have any of the Blazing Sun games.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that controversy, but our games are at home. We don't have a lot of short weeks, but we play, I think, some teams that are coming off of short weeks. So we have I think it's what it's called the rest ratio. Ours is like top 3 or something.
That's
So
nice. Yeah, I
we
saw that
have
on the thing.
yeah, we have more rest. We have more rest than the people we're playing. Most of our hard games are at home. Tua
We have
stays
what? How many primetime games do we have? Like what? Six?
6. 6.
McDaniel gets to make it or break it in the prime time.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping. Well, my my brother lives in Cincinnati. He's gonna come down to the Bengals game. That's a prime time
Sweet.
game. I'm gonna try to make it. As Sarah lives in Pittsburgh, so we play Pittsburgh Monday night in December. I'm gonna try to make it up to
That's
that
gonna be a hard one, I think.
December 15th.
Johnu, Ramsey, and now Rogers. That's gonna be a little bit of a tough one. If Rogers is even in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's all gonna depend on a lot of things. And and I was gonna say about Rodgers, about Ramsey, how I said Jonah would have been a Patriot years ago. Well, you know what? If Ramsey was a Patriot years ago, that's when Belichick would have gotten rid of him. Always a year too early and not a year too late.
Yeah.
But I say Tua stays healthy. I'll go out on a limb. I mean, I'm saying 11 games. I think we win 11 if Tua stays healthy.
I think that's fair. Mine's 7 to 9 with like maybe a 10. But 11 would take a lot. So I think that's the uppermost. I can't see us winning more than that.
Yeah.
So your ultimate gut. Give me a number.
10.
Obviously 10.
10.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I
10
think
and
that's
7.
fair. I think that would be I think a few things like limited injuries, Tua staying mostly healthy. I think that's possible.
Yeah. I'm pretty comfortable with saying 10.
If we get 10 wins, then McDaniel, Greer, Tua, everybody's coming back. That's a reset. I mean, like a reach, push into the 26. What do you think it takes for to dump everybody?
For to dump everybody? Oh,
Yeah. Think 9?
I hate this. Actually, no. It's going to be style. It's going to be the way we lose.
That's fair. That's a good.
If and it's I've just seen this. I've seen this way too many times. It's if we start losing and fingers start getting pointed and the distractions start ending up in the media. I'm not even really talking about the fans. I'm talking about
the team breaks down.
Tyreek Hill gets arrested again after a game because if somebody retires mid-season, walks out, you start getting fractures in the locker room.
Yeah,
that's really what's going to determine if it's a break glass in case of emergency and Weaver ends up finishing the year as the head coach. If we get to the end, if we make the playoffs,
we're in. Definitely.
We're in. If
we make the playoffs, they're definitely coming back.
We're the Dolphins, so this is what's going to happen: is we are going to end up with 10 wins, and we're going to lose the playoff berth on like the 4th tiebreaker, and everyone's going to. Well, if we would have, if the win.
That's the worst. That's the worst. Like, almost if coulda, shoulda, woulda. I would rather have us totally crap out and be totally certain as a fan base. I'd be certain. I'm tired of like, well, if A and B happen, we're always in this limbo of like, well, drag it out.
And I think we're too good. We're too good to completely crap out. That people probably don't want to hear that, but if we are too good in some respects, except at the QB position. And I'm talking about the whole room.
Cornerback spot's a weakness.
Yeah, I do think. I think the defense is going to be a little bit different these days, where they're going to. I think Weaver is going to be able to hide the deficiency at cornerback. Kohu's got slot on lock. Adding Minka to the secondary, if he from the guy from Detroit, if he stays healthy, Storm Doug.
Iffy.
Yeah, if he's it, yeah. Storm Duck, give him another year of maturation. I know there's a fire under Cam, so this is Cam Smith's. If
Swan song,
he
if he
may,
fails.
if he doesn't, and I've seen pictures, like the videos of him working out on his own are starting to come out. But if he doesn't step up in the preseason, he might not make the regular season. So we're going to see what he's made out of in this preseason. Um, and then Artie Burns is he's gonna give you a number of snaps. The kid from Florida, that guy was covering he's in the SEC and he was covering the number one receiver every week.
Yep.
That's got a little bit of that's got to translate. So I think Weaver knows how to cover. And if you've got Chop and Chubb and Jalen and Sealer and Grant, they're not going to have to cover for that long.
And Brooks and Dotson.
Brooks, yeah, they're not going to have to cover for that long.
Well, that's the hope, bro. That's the hope. Well, PJ, thank you for stopping by, brother. Always great. I really enjoy. My wife and I had the greatest time that night, even though it was a terrible game. She still asks for you because you're such a good dude. Thank you for stopping by. Is there anything you want to say and where we can find you or whatever? I don't know if there's anywhere we can find you or whatever.
No, I'm kind of low key. My Twitter's locked down. If you find me on Twitter, request me. If you're not too crazy, I try to stay pretty low key on the social media side. My opinions are controversial, so I just kind of keep them under the privacy.
You look so young. You got hair. There's no gray in it. Man, you're a smart man, not me.
Yeah, but I know Sarah and the boys will be watching this when it comes out. So what's up, Will? What's up, Ben? What's up, Sarah? Yeah, Danny will watch it. I want to give a shout out to my buddies at FC Naples. I've got an FC Naples hat up here. We're a new USL soccer team. And hopefully, let's look at the schedule, get you out for another game.
I'll definitely try, man. I'll definitely try.
Quick trip up here.
So. Definitely. We'll break it down. I'm going to see, because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to come. But I'm starting to get excited again. I'm going to see how this camp goes. I want to go to a winning game, so we'll talk about it. But I'll think about it, man. I appreciate it. And Nana actually loved it. She hated watching the Loft, but she's like, I had a great time. So maybe we'll do it.
What the heck? Why not?
So thank you, PJ, for stopping by. Guys, I hope you enjoy your time with PJ. He's a great guy, real great guy, and real fan. And just a dude.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Good man. Good man. Anyway, guys, thank you. Curtis and PJ saying, be well, go Fits. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceBread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.